Sister-in-law insulted my kids, so I exposed her lies. Let me give you the full history first, because this didn't happen in a vacuum. My sister-in-law has been lying about her son's developmental milestones since the day he came home from the hospital. The lies started while he was still in a newborn onesie. He smiled on day 2. Not gas, she clarified, an actual intentional smile. He was sleeping through the night at 3 weeks. He was tracking objects with his eyes at 1 month, which babies do, but hers was doing it with what she called completely seriously, purpose and intention. By the time he was a year old, the claims had escalated considerably. Walking at 5 months. First word, clearly enunciated, at 7 months. Reading simple books by 18 months. Doing addition by 2.5. My husband's family just absorbed all of it over the years. They'd hear a new claim, exchange a look, and move on. Nobody said anything because nobody wanted to start something. His mom told me once that she'd been doing it since she was a teenager. Grades, sports, friends. The kids were just the newest material. I had been handling it fine. It was annoying in the way background noise is annoying. Present, persistent, something you learn to tune out. Her son is 8 now and a perfectly normal kid, which says more than anything I could. Then she turned it toward my daughter. My daughter just turned 4. She is healthy, happy, funny, and developing exactly the way she should. She talks constantly, mostly about her stuffed animals and which ones are currently in trouble with her. But apparently, she should be further along, because according to my sister-in-law, her son was reading full chapter books by 2 and writing his own sentences by 3. She brought this up at a family dinner in front of everyone, framed as concern, just something she'd noticed, just wanted to mention it in case it was helpful, because early intervention is so important and the window closes faster than people realize. I smiled. I thanked her. I said I'd keep an eye on it. Then I went home and started my project. I found the Guinness World Records official submission page. It's free to submit. They have a whole process. You fill out a form, describe the record being claimed, and if it clears the initial screen, they assign someone to verify. I spent about an hour pulling together every milestone she had shared publicly over the years. Facebook posts, things she'd said at family dinners, claims I had personally witnessed. The list was long. Walking unassisted at 5 months. First intelligible word at 7 months. Reading simple books at 14 months. Full chapter books at 24 months. Writing original sentences at 36 months. Mental addition at 30 months. I looked up the actual Guinness records for each relevant category and included them for comparison. Her son had beaten every single one, some by months, a few by years. I submitted the application under his name, used her email address as the contact, the one she'd given me years ago for a family group chat, printed the confirmation email, had it matted and framed at a print shop, wrapped it in a gift bag with tissue paper, and waited for Easter dinner. My husband knew what was in the bag and spent the entire meal barely holding it together. I waited until dessert was out and everyone was relaxed. I slid the bag across the table and told her I'd been thinking about what she said at the last dinner, and I wanted to do something to honor what her son had achieved because I didn't think the family appreciated it enough. She pulled out the frame. She read it. She went from pleased to confused to pale in about 15 seconds. This is a Guinness submission form. I said yes, I'd taken the liberty of filing on her behalf. The reference number was right there if she wanted to follow up. Her husband leaned over to read it. He got about halfway down the list of claimed milestones and started laughing. The kind that builds on itself, where you have to put your fork down. He looked at her and said, completely sincerely, how far back does this go? Which was its own kind of revelation about their marriage. She said the application would never be approved. I said probably not. But the verification team they assign typically does a preliminary interview, so they might be reaching out at some point. She called me something I won't repeat here. Her husband was still laughing. She left before coffee. She texted me later that night, a long message about how she had only ever been trying to help me, and she guessed she would just stop doing that since clearly her concern wasn't welcome in this family. I responded with a thumbs up. She hasn't mentioned my daughter since. Her son is apparently now excelling at soccer, which I am choosing consciously and deliberately to let go entirely.